Robert will, we'll go into the season with Robert as the number one guy, obviously, and then it's up to Robert to continue to grow and mature as a quarterback and as a person, and then moving forward, just want to see some improvement. It's up to us as a staff to get more out of him.
It's Coach Jay Gruden yesterday at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, saying RG3 is going to be his number one quarterback as they enter training camp. Want to hear from you on the Hadid Carpet Cleaning listener lines at 800-636-1067. How'd you feel about that? You know what jumped out at me? It was the one word in that sentence, obviously. It's not obvious. It's obvious that RG3 is the number one guy.
Well,
it's so not obvious. He was terrible.
But I don't think he's saying he's my guy from here on out. I think he's just saying he's going into camp. He ended the season as the number one guy. He's going into camp as the number one guy, and he needs to improve a ton. And we brought in Matt Cavanaugh, and we were giving him a list of things we're going to work on.
I get all that.
I just don't. I wouldn't get too carried away with it.
But it's not obvious to me that he's the number one. Based on their bodies of work, when on the field, Kirk Cousins was better than RG3 last year.
Right. But
so to me, it would have been much better to just say we're going to have an open competition.
I would have preferred that. Again, I think this is just PR. I really think that's all this is.
In the end, it is.
Just
but
PR.
I think that all things being equal or even close, RG3 is going to be the starter. Kirk Cousins could outplay him like he did to all the sources who were at training camp last year every day. And he could outplay him in the preseason games. If it's not a huge chasm, they're probably going to make RG3 the starter.
Well, I think Cooley said that.
Right.
I think he said it. I think it just confirms what Cooley said.
Right.
Yeah.
Which kind of confirms
Cooley
to me
right.
that RG3 and Snyder are still running the show.
And even if Gruden isn't convinced that RG3 is a guy, and I don't think he is, maybe he just doesn't want all of the nonsense and all of the questions for 6 months about who's going to be the starter. He's just putting it out there so he can just get the media off his back.
So he's putting the fire out quick.
I think that's what it is.
But the fire is going to burn again.
Well, yes,
certainly.
as soon as Robert starts playing poorly.
RG3, there were reports that Gruden became disenfranchised with him during the Baltimore Ravens preseason game. And he realized at that point, this guy's just not going to be able to run the offense the way I want it run. So that could happen. It could totally happen again in 2015.
Well,
he benched him. He benched him.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship's already been fractured. The only reason why they're continuing with this is because they have a contract situation and they don't have anybody better. They, for whatever reason, they weren't sold on Kirk. I agree with you. At times, Kirk moved this team better than Robert ever did. But for
his
whatever
numbers
reason,
are better than him.
They gave up on him.
They did.
They gave up on him. They don't like his moxie.
They didn't give him enough time, though.
That's fine. If you listen to Mike Shanahan and some of his comments yesterday, Mike thinks it doesn't matter when or where. Eventually, Kirk Cousins is going to be a player in this league.
Yeah.
So, it probably won't happen here.
And Shanny confirmed everything that we had heard, that after the injury, Robert came to the coaching staff and said, I want to be a pocket passer. I don't want to run these read option plays.
Everything we heard.
Everything.
Except for the one thing, he did debunk that he packed up his stuff and was going to quit after the
It was also a lot of Shanny basically saying, none of this was my fault. None of what happened here was my fault at all.
Okay, well,
he didn't take one scintilla of blame for anything that happened under his watch.
True, and that's a little disingenuous in my opinion. But who would you believe first, Shanny or Dan Snyder or Robert?
I would believe Shanny.
Yeah.
Look, he's giving you his perspective on how it all went down.
We've heard those stories from multiple people.
I mean, we're kind of what we're doing here is there are two different things that happened yesterday. Mike Shanahan gave this big interview yesterday where a lot of details came out for people that were maybe new to them. Those of us, luckily, we've been having conversations with Grant, for 6 to 9 months here since he's been working full-time at the station. All this stuff was not news to us. We had heard all this stuff. But I think the public got to hear a lot of Mike Shanahan's thoughts on things yesterday. And then you had the Jay Gruden presser kind of happening at the same time where Jay just kind of said, look, we're going into camp with Robert as our number one guy. I don't think you have to look too much more into that. Your instinct is, well, this tells you that Dan and Bruce and RG3 are running the organization, not Jay. I don't think that's a far-fetched thought, but I don't think that statement yesterday confirms it. I think what will confirm it is if it plays out the way JP said, where they go in there in the camp and Kirk and whoever just completely outplays him and they still give him the job. If that happens, then Jay has no
business as usual.
And I still find it hard to believe, and I'm probably 100% wrong on this, fellas, that they're going to bring both those guys back and let them fight it out in camp.
Well, Kirk might demand a trade at this point.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what leverage he has.
He didn't have any leverage.
I don't know what leverage
He
he
tried
has.
to do that. He tried to do that.
But just the
If I'm Kirk
awkwardness.
Cousins, I'm beyond frustrated.
Well,
I'm
hold
like,
on,
what
JP.
else can I do?
JP, hold on.
I'm working with the guy's
Just the
brother.
awkwardness and the uncomfortable, atmosphere it's going to create for both guys. And I don't know if Gruden wants to deal with that. Maybe he's got no control, and Snyder wants to bring them both back. Who knows?
But if you're
Bruce.
if you're the Redskins, why would you get rid of Cousins when you have an unreliable number one in RG3?
Well, here's why you would give up with him, because they wouldn't even use him last year. Like, they gave up on him.
I mean,
so
yeah.
if you have, in fact,
He was third string.
if you've in fact given up on the guy who gave them their most prolific games last
if
year.
you think he can't play, then you deal him for whatever you can get. A 6th-round pick, just get him out of the building.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I
agree with you.
That might happen.
It's a farce over what's happening over there.
it's
It's
a
a big
debacle.
forest fire.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is as big a Redskins fan as Bickle is yesterday. And he listened to the Shanny interview, and he saw the press conference with Jay Gruden. He said, I'm as big a fan as there is out there. And he says it's hard to root for them.
Right.
He says he almost roots against them now.
Well, it's laughable. It's
All stems from Snyder.
you just got to detach yourself from it.
It
But
really does.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it
does
does.
stem from Snyder.
Yeah.
it
everything.
does. But I want to just get back
He
to
is the root of all evil
to
over
the
there.
relationship thing. Shanny again confirmed yesterday that a lot of this rift started a couple years ago in that Cleveland game when they didn't ask Kirk to run read
Same
option.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And all of a sudden, Robert took that as a personal shot at his passing
Right, as
ability.
an affront.
And that's when it all went bad. And isn't that just so funny?
But Robert
Kirk
does things better
exactly.
than Kirk and vice
Kirk
versa.
has a different skill set. Robert
Is
refuses.
he stupid? I thought he was a smart kid. Is he stupid? It
He-
makes all
he
the
took
sense in
it-
the
well, I
world
think he's
But he took it
athletically
as a-
arrogant. He's
Yeah.
athletically arrogant to believe
that he can do everything.
that he can be an Aaron Rodgers type
Well, he
quarterback
can't.
in the league.
At this point in his career, he can't.
Well,
he needs a wake-up
well,
call.
and Shannon even told him that.
Right.
Well, Shannon said maybe someday.
Yeah, he said, but now you can't.
Right
you
now,
can't do
no.
it.
Yeah.
You
Maybe
gotta-
someday when we're playing NFL games in fantasy land, you'll be as good as Aaron
It's
Rodgers.
possible. It's possible, and I don't know this, that RG3 can make a self-assessment and look at what's going on around the league and come to a conclusion that he's not going to be as successful as the drop-back quarterback that he thought he might be, that he might have to revert to being a Russell Wilson-style quarterback, which can be very successful in the league. It was successful for him as a rookie.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, he didn't want to do that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Well, just to tell the coach, and this is how you know that Dan was involved, just to tell the coach, no, I'm not going to run these plays.
Well, that they're unacceptable.
yeah, I just
Right.
can't do it. I'm not
Yeah.
doing
and
it.
Mike
I won't
said in
do
his
it.
30 years as a coach, he's never heard a rookie come to him and say these are unacceptable.
Right. I mean, this is a guy that won 2 Lombardi trophies. Okay, he's a Super Bowl winning coach.
I mean, that's why people have to understand. I'm glad it's out in the public because we had heard these stories before and it's kind of been sworn to secrecy.
yeah.
I think we kind of leaked
Well,
them
no,
a little.
we did.
I think we kind of leaked them a little bit.
We talked about it a few months ago.
But I'm glad that people are hearing. This is the kind of arrogance that you're dealing with.
But even without hearing the stories, and even without Shanny talking about it, you saw what happened. You could have said it was because of injury. In year 2, Robert was a different quarterback. Some would say he wasn't completely healthy, but just look at the statistics. He didn't run the ball like he did. They didn't run those type of looks, particularly early in the season. And then in Jay Gruden's first year, he just looked bad. When he was in situations where he had to read a defense, he looked below average as an NFL quarterback. And that's what he has to turn around.
Right.
They might bring some elements back where he's been successful, but what he really needs to learn to do is sit in the pocket, read a defense, and make NFL-type throws.
And again, frankly, he's years away from doing it. He's just
he
years
hasn't
away.
shown that he's successful at it.
But here's the
on a
issue that
consistent
Jay
basis.
has. Jay has an owner and a GM that are tied to Robert, and he has really no real alternatives behind him. He
Doesn't look like there's an alternative right
There's
now.
no real alternatives
other
behind
than
him.
Kirk Cousins, if you're going to ride with him, who made a lot of mistakes.
But I know who's looking for alternatives.
gave up
His name's
on
Scott
Kirk.
McLuhan.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking under every rock to find a guy to step in and be a better quarterback than RG3.
I don't think he is. I don't think it's their number one priority.
No, I don't think he's going to pick him in the first round. But I mean, from his
It's
track
slim
record,
pickings.
from his track record in Seattle, he will look far and wide to try to find a quarterback to run whatever system his coach is going to run.
Maybe next year's
it's
draft,
not
but
happen.
this year's draft is really thin at that position.
The draft is terrible. The free agency crop is
not
terrible.
a great crop, but
so
unless you take like Brett Hundley in the 2nd or 3rd round.
I have predicted 0, 14, and 2. Why is nobody believing me? This is going to be a catastrophically bad year. This is a bad football.
I think it's going to be a bad year.
Teams usually get 2 or 3 wins. The worst teams.
They're going to get 5.
Look,
they're going to.
I'm half doing it for shtick, but the point is they're going to be
a bad year.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Everyone agrees.
That's
with
the
you.
point.
They're going to get 5 or 6 wins. Somehow they'll cobble together 5 or 6 wins.
I don't see it.
I'm not sure exactly how.
I don't see it.
Who do you think Jay Gruden really wants to start?
None of those guys.
Nobody that's on his roster.
Yeah, none of those guys.
Some guy in college.
I think he really, at the end of the year, wanted to start Colt McCoy.
But knowing that
and then Colt got hurt.
But hold on, knowing that you only have those 3 guys right now. Well, really 2, unless they re-sign Colt. But let's just assume they had Colt too.
He doesn't think that Kirk. This is from people that cover the team. He doesn't think that Kirk has the moxie, the guts. He doesn't think Kirk has the guts, the balls.
He saw him for like 20 minutes.
But he was in the building with him. He didn't like the way Kirk moped in the building, in the huddles.
Bad body language.
Yes, he didn't like it. He didn't think he's got the balls for it. So it could be a wrong perception, but that was his perception.
So out of
JP's
the
right.
bad lot, RG's the best.
No, out of the bad lot. If he had his druthers and no pressure, he would start Colt because Colt can pass from the pocket.
He wanted.
Okay, but what if
But he doesn't think Colt's any good. He's
not.
He doesn't
best of a
believe in
bad
Kirk.
lot.
He has no faith in Robert. And Colt at least could pass somewhat from the pocket.
He likes Colt McCoy like Mike Shanahan liked Rex Grossman
Graham.
and John Beck that one year.
He felt like they were at least reliable.
He likes them.
He knows it's not great.
And they know the offense.
Yeah. But, I mean, believe me, if he could blow it up and have 3 new guys, he would do it.
In a heartbeat.
All right,
well, maybe they do have 1 new guy this year. Who knows?
When we come back, we'll take your calls. What are your thoughts? Jay Gruden yesterday unexpectedly said RG3 is the #1 guy when he was asked at the NFL Combine. 800-636-1067. We'll come back with your thoughts. Talking Redskins on the Fan.